I started realizing, oh, the name calling, I felt different, like all the things that really started happening that year. And, for the next 2 or 3 years, it was a consistent theme, but I would just brush it off.
What happens when a woman known for building dream homes suddenly has to rebuild herself? For Chip Gaines, the ultimate fixer, Joanna's surgery brought a challenge no hammer or blueprint could solve. Beside her hospital bed, he faced uncertainty with quiet strength, worry, and unwavering love. Their experience revealed the fragile reality behind their successful family empire, reminding fans that even the strongest foundations can crack. But this story is about more than recovery. It shows how love becomes its own kind of repair, holding people together when life changes without warning, and the person you love needs you most. The hidden health crisis. In 2022, behind the polished image of Chip and Joanna Gaines's thriving empire, an unspoken struggle quietly took hold. What started as a mild discomfort in Joanna's back soon grew into a persistent pain that refused to fade. Known for her grace and resilience, Joanna initially brushed it off as the physical toll of long days spent on renovation sites and in front of cameras. But the ache deepened, sharper, more debilitating, turning simple movements into trials. For months, Joanna kept this pain private, smiling through photo shoots, magazine covers, and countless interviews, determined to maintain the image of strength and stability her fans admired. Yet, those closest to her could see the signs, brief winces when she thought no one was looking, hidden fatigue masking a growing battle. Chip Gaines, ever attuned to Joanna's spirit, sensed the change before anyone else. Behind the scenes, their usual rhythm faltered as concern tightened its grip. Doctors eventually uncovered a severe spinal issue that had been developing silently for years, the root of Joanna's pain and exhaustion. The diagnosis was harsh and unambiguous. Surgery was unavoidable. For someone who had carried 5 children, led massive projects, and inspired millions, this was not a setback to be taken lightly. It was a moment that demanded surrender and patience. The woman known for fixing houses now faced a truth no blueprint could alter. This hidden health crisis was a pivotal fracture in their otherwise seemingly unbreakable life. It wasn't just Joanna's physical strength that was challenged. The foundation of their family, brand, and personal identities trembled. For Chip, the man who had built his life alongside her, this was unfamiliar territory. No power tool or construction plan could repair what was breaking inside. The reality of uncertainty loomed large. Even as the crisis worsened, the couple seemed to lean into a quiet kind of strength, not a big spectacle. Joanna arrived at the hospital with very little fanfare. Just Chip right there with her, steady and unshaken. No cameras really showed up. Projects got sidelined. And then all the online talk kept ballooning, especially as Chip started appearing less in public. The whole empire they had built felt like it paused alongside them, as if it was waiting while the two of them faced a situation they could not patch up with talent or sheer determination, or even that stubborn drive alone. At this point, the Gaines story shifted, not so much about success anymore, more about simply staying alive. People working behind the scenes said Chip was more subdued, almost brittle, and nothing like the lively, joke-ready image the public had loved for years. His attention tightened to Joanna's bedside, where every beep, every sterile wall kept underlining how thin life really is. What surfaced here was vulnerability most people never really see. It stopped being only about polished houses or immaculate designs and became about pain, endurance, and devotion when the future won't give you a clear answer. Honestly, it was the toughest kind of fix, the kind you cannot solve from a manual, because there are no real guarantees, not even small ones. While fans waited quietly and prayed, something else was forming, like a fresh chapter coming in fast. One that would change what strength means for the Gaines family. A chapter where love gets tested beyond the blueprints and beyond the construction sites too. Even as Joanna began facing healing, the landscape of their world was shifting, setting the stage for the Empire's pause and Chip's deep personal reckoning. From Empire to Emergency. The launching of Magnolia Network in January 2022 marked what seemed like a new high point for Chip and Joanna Gaines. With fresh shows like Fixer Upper, Welcome Home, and Fixer Upper, the castle gaining momentum, their brand was everywhere. Store shelves, television screens, and social media feeds. To the public, the Gaines empire looked unstoppable, a vibrant success story fueled by creativity and enduring partnership. But beneath this booming surface, the sudden health crisis was undermining that momentum. As Joanna's back pain worsened and surgery became unavoidable, the frenetic pace of their multiple projects came grinding to a halt. Cameras stopped rolling, filming days were canceled, and many launches were postponed. For the first time in years, the household name synonymous with tireless work and ambition faced a collective pause. This slowdown wasn't born of business decisions or strategic planning. It was a forced retreat dictated by circumstances no one could control. For Chip, the shift was seismic. His world, once filled with meetings, site visits, and fan events, became centered on hospital rooms and quiet moments spent watching over Joanna. The man known for his relentless energy began withdrawing from the spotlight, trading the construction zones for hospital halls. The empire they co-built, so long a symbol of their shared vision, now resembled a fragile house waiting for repairs of a different kind. Their family life also felt the impact as priorities shifted from professional triumph to personal healing. 5 children, Drake, Ella, Duke, Emmy, and crew, watched their parents navigate this uncharted territory, while Chip sought to hold the pieces together amid uncertainty. The balance between business and family, already delicate, was tested in unprecedented ways. The couple's fans noticed the shift. Chip's presence in public appearances kind of faded, and social media got quieter somehow. Questions and worry spiraled, but actual answers were scarce, because Chip and Joanna seemed to lean into privacy instead of publicity. That pullback added extra weight to how people viewed Joanna's condition and what it meant for the family, and for their whole empire, too. In the background, Magnolia wasn't just pausing for Joanna's recovery, it was recalibrating to a different, new reality where health and family came first. Some projects got shelved, plans went on indefinite hold, and this hush showed up over what used to feel loud, bright, and always moving. The usual hustle gave way to something like hope, and the public was left watching this major transformation happen in slow motion, almost unreal. That move from empire building to an emergency kind of response showed the human cost hiding behind even the most captivating success stories. It was a reminder that no matter how big the achievement is, real life can ask for stillness and even surrender. For the Gaines family, the stakes were deeply personal, turning their biggest creation, their own family, into the focus of attention and care. While the world watched from the outside, Chip's role quietly changed. The fixer of walls and problems found himself dealing with something he couldn't just patch with tools or tactics. His attention narrowed toward healing and faith, setting a mood of steady humility and devotion, even with the uncertainty hanging there. The shift in Chip's life would foreshadow the emotional depths he soon had to navigate in silence. Chip's silent devastation. Chip Gaines had always been known for his infectious laughter, quick humor, and endless energy. He was the lively contrast to Joanna's calm personality, bringing excitement to their projects, family moments, and television appearances. But when Joanna faced a serious health challenge and underwent surgery, the cheerful man fans began to change. As Joanna started her slow recovery, Chip quietly stepped away from the public eye. His usual jokes were replaced by silence and reflection. Those close to the family noticed that he seemed exhausted, not simply from a lack of sleep, but from the emotional weight of watching someone he loved struggle. For once, the man who could confidently repair almost anything faced a problem without an easy solution. Chip reportedly spent long nights beside Joanna, remaining close as she recovered. He had no hammer, blueprint, or renovation plan that could speed up the healing process. All he could do was stay present, offer comfort, and make sure she never felt alone. Public appearances and professional responsibilities became less important as his attention shifted completely toward his wife and family. The situation also created a powerful role reversal. During earlier difficult moments, Joanna had often been the steady presence who helped ground Chip. Now he became her caretaker and emotional anchor. The experience reminded him that love does not always look bold or heroic. Sometimes it appears through quiet patience, vulnerability, and the decision to remain beside someone during uncertainty. At home, Chip focused more closely on their children and the ordinary routines of family life. Cooking breakfast, helping with homework, and spending time together gave him something solid to hold on to. These simple acts became meaningful sources of comfort during a period when much of life felt beyond his control. As Joanna regained her strength, Chip began reconsidering what success truly meant. It was no longer defined only by completed projects, television ratings, or business opportunities. Success became the ability to protect his family, support his wife, and appreciate the moments that could easily be overlooked. When Chip eventually returned to public life, fans saw someone more thoughtful and grounded. His familiar humor remained, but it carried the perspective of a man who had confronted fear and discovered that strength does not always mean hiding pain. Chip's journey revealed that even the strongest people can feel helpless when someone they love is suffering. Like homes and marriages, lives can develop unexpected cracks. True strength is not pretending those cracks do not exist. It is facing them with patience, devotion, and the courage to rebuild together. The renewed lens on their story illuminates the humble beginnings that shaped their unwavering belief in love and grit. The Gaines origin story. Before the fame, before the sprawling Magnolia Empire, Chip and Joanna Gaines were two dreamers from small-town America. Joanna Stevens grew up in Kansas, a thoughtful communications student at Baylor University who once envisioned a life in television journalism. Chip, on the other hand, was a business major from Texas, full of energy but still searching for his path after a baseball career that never took off. Their worlds collided in 2001 at Joanna's father's tire shop in Waco, Texas, when Chip, inspired by a local commercial featuring Joanna, decided to meet her. What began as a simple conversation soon blossomed into something neither could have predicted. They married in 2003 and faced the daunting reality of starting life together with little money and big dreams. Early on, they juggled debts, construction mishaps, and relentless uncertainty. Joanna managed a small retail shop, Magnolia Market, where she sold handmade decor while sometimes holding their baby on her hip. Meanwhile, Chip took on construction jobs, flipping houses to make ends meet. Their early days were marked by sleepless nights filled with worry and hope in equal measure. They experienced failure numerous times, from faltering business ideas to renovation projects gone wrong. Yet through it all, Their strength wasn't luck or immediate success. It was an unshakable belief in each other and in their shared future. That grit became the engine that fueled their journey forward. The couple's breakthrough came in 2013 when HGT Vibe took a chance on their pilot for Fixer Upper. The show exploded in popularity, captivating viewers with Chip's goofy energy and Joanna's calm creativity. Their authentic chemistry resonated deeply, contrasting with the heavily scripted content that dominated television. Audiences didn't just watch home makeovers, they witnessed a genuine partnership that transformed broken houses and their lives. Behind the scenes, their relationship kind of acted like a metaphor for the work, like taking something damaged and making it whole again. Their marriage, built on teamwork and trust, turned into the base for the Magnolia brand. Somehow, it just fit. This narrative was compelling because it was real, showing both the wins and the hard parts with plain honesty. They weren't only selling homes, they were also sharing a story of resilience that felt lived in. Success kept opening doors, but it also piled on pressure. Magnolia went from a small shop into a multi-million-dollar brand, spanning retail, television, and other networking ventures. Still, as the business bloomed, the problems of managing a family and keeping a marriage healthy also grew. And it wasn't only the money. The weight was personal, real-life personal. For years, they tried to keep the magic of their rising empire separate from the everyday chaoses of raising 5 children, but honestly, it never fully separated. Their roles meshed in a way that looked natural. Joanna as the steady creative force, Chip as the energetic motivator. But even the strongest partnerships end up with cracks. And as the empire climbed higher, the stakes for their personal foundation started getting dangerously steep. The tensions that come from relentless demands finally tested their perfect image. And the whole story of where they started and how it grew offers this sharp contrast to the challenges that would soon shake everything. It's a reminder that behind any kind of success, there are years of hard labor, missed chances, and relentless hope. That early innocence kind of flickers like a beacon, even as the storms were already moving in. From these roots, their lives expanded in ways they never imagined, setting a stage where personal trials would test everything they thought they knew about strength and love. A foundation built from modest beginnings sometimes must face its toughest tests in unexpected ways. The pressure of success. The rapid growth of the Magnolia brand brought exciting opportunities but also unprecedented pressure. Transitioning from a small retail business to a sprawling empire meant managing far more than just homes and design projects. It meant navigating business deals, public relations, and an expanding family. Success created a new kind of weight, invisible in photos, but felt deeply behind closed doors. Their lives became a constant balancing act, with Chip and Joanna pulled in multiple directions. On one hand were their flourishing shows, retail outlets, and corporate ventures. On the other, the everyday demands of raising 5 children and preserving a healthy marriage. The gulf between public perception and private reality widened. Fans saw smiles and seamless projects, but the Gaines family faced exhaustion and strain. The stress wasn't just about long hours or commitments. It was the emotional toll of trying to be perfect constantly. Perfect parents, perfect entrepreneurs, perfect partners. Even small cracks could threaten the image they had worked so hard to build. The relentless pace pushed them to their limits, with Joanna often shouldering the visible burden of managing it all, while Chip strove to keep the energy high. As their brand touched millions, the pressure to maintain that success grew with it. There was little room for vulnerability or missteps when so many eyes watched their every move. This magnified the challenge of addressing personal health struggles, which felt at odds with their polished public persona. Their human fragility was a tension against the backdrop of a near-mythical brand. Joanna's health struggles quietly unfolded against this backdrop of relentless demand. The physical and emotional fatigue she battled was often invisible to the outside world, but inside their home and circle of friends, the cracks grew more apparent. The ideal of love and hard work fix everything was being tested in profound ways. It became clear that even the strongest foundations need care and attention. The need to slow down clashed with business momentum and fan expectations. Postponed releases and fewer appearances symbolized a painful but critical choice: to prioritize health and family over growth and exposure. It was a strategic retreat that nonetheless caused waves of concern and speculation among followers and industry insiders alike. Chip, too, felt the strain. The man once seen as the boundless force behind the empire began to reflect more deeply, stepping back from public engagements and embracing the quieter demands of caregiving and emotional support. The transition marked a profound shift in what success meant to him and his family. Their story reveals how even extraordinary achievement can be accompanied by profound personal strain. It challenges the myth that success guarantees happiness or health, showing instead the complex, often hidden cost of building an empire. It also underscores the courage it takes to confront those pressures head-on. Navigating the pressures of success ultimately prepared them for the more intimate battles ahead. Ones fought not on television, but in hospital rooms and family conversations. This difficult reckoning would define how Chip and Joanna reimagined their purpose, both personally and professionally. Facing surgery and recovery. Joanna's surgery was a turning point that brought the Gaines family face to face with the realities of healing and fragility. Unlike their usual controlled environments of design and construction, this battle took place in sterile hospital rooms where control was minimal. No cameras were rolling, no scripts to follow, just the raw, uncertain process of recovery. For Joanna, whose life had revolved around making things whole again, this was a profoundly humbling moment. The surgery was necessary but arduous, addressing the severe spinal deterioration that had been silently worsening for years. Post-operation, Joanna faced months of recovery that required patience she wasn't accustomed to. Every step forward was a victory, but also a reminder that healing was not immediate. The woman who once tackled the chaos of renovation now had to navigate physical limitations and the emotional weight they carried. Chip's role intensified during this time. No longer just a partner or co-creator of a brand, he became a full-time caregiver, attending to Joanna's needs with unwavering devotion. Friends and family described him as nearly inseparable from her side, sleeping in chairs beside her hospital bed and staying close through every challenging moment. This shift broke the mold of their public image and revealed a more vulnerable, tender side of the famous fixer. The couple made the quiet decision to step back from public life entirely. Projects were paused indefinitely, and public appearances were canceled as they focused all energy on Joanna's health. Chip's withdrawal was noticeable to fans and the media alike, leaving many wondering what was happening behind the scenes. Their usual openness gave way to a protective privacy, underscoring the seriousness of the situation. Recovery didn't just come with expected physical bumps and then better days. It also brought this whole other set of problems. You know, the mind part. Joanna kept getting stuck, kind of wrestling with the emotional weight of being stuck, sidelined, unable to carry that mantle of strength she'd held for so many years. Chip, too, had his own quiet fights, because even with his inner resolve, there were moments where helplessness still slid in, like it had a key. The way they had built their lives, the whole dynamic, started to wobble. Roles and expectations weren't fitting the same way anymore, And it all asked for this redefinition, not just a tweak. During Joanna's healing run, somehow love showed up in the middle of it, and quiet strength was there too, even when nothing looked dramatic. The two of them found comfort in plain routines: Chip cooking breakfast, helping with homework, doing that simple thing of being present. None of it was polished for cameras, none of it was headline-ready, but those small gestures still landed hard, like affirmations without saying anything out loud. It turned into a slower, gentler rhythm, and that shift made room for connection and for healing to be the main priority, instead of productivity always driving. Also, the distance from their empire to the spotlight changed how the Gaines family saw success. It wasn't just dollars or ratings anymore. It became shared moments and emotional resilience, the kind you don't really measure. That change helped soften what could have been a very isolating crisis. It made empathy feel real, and it made mutual support easier, almost natural, because they were both in it, even if in different ways. Even with the road still uncertain, they leaned forward with hope and perseverance. Joanna's slow comeback was more than just recovery. Honestly, it turned into something like proof. Proof that strength can be found in vulnerability, and that the unspoken power of simply being together can matter more than anyone expects when hardship arrives. Their story started to look deeper. You could see the layers of humanity under the public persona, like the real people were always there, just harder to notice. Then, as Joanna's strength slowly came back, the couple had to handle reintegration, which was complicated. Not only reintegration into work, but into life. A life that had been altered for good by everything they went through and endured, even the parts nobody really gets. The healing journey blossomed into a deeper understanding that life's real work often happens beyond the spotlight. Public response and personal growth. When news of Joanna's surgery finally surfaced, the response from fans was immediate and overwhelming. Messages of love and prayers flooded social media, reflecting the deep connection people felt with the Gaines family. For many, it was a shock to learn that the woman who seemed so indomitable was wrestling with such serious health issues. This collective outpouring underscored how much Joanna and Chip had touched lives beyond television and home design. Yet, despite the public's curiosity and concern, Chip chose silence over explanation. He refrained from posting updates or engaging publicly, allowing their privacy to take precedence. This quiet dignity contrasted sharply with the usually open and accessible nature of their brand. Chip's heartbreak was profoundly private, a raw experience not meant for public consumption. His focus remained firmly on Joanna and their family. Within this silence, however, the Gaines family experienced substantial personal growth. The forced pause allowed Chip and Joanna to reflect deeply on their lives, their marriage, and their priorities. They began distinguishing between what truly mattered and what could wait. The relentless pursuit of business and perfection gave way to a more grounded appreciation for family and health. Chip, in particular, embraced a new understanding of success and strength. The man, once driven by projects and public admiration, found fulfillment in simple, unguarded moments of home life. He devoted himself to supporting Joanna's recovery and giving their children normalcy amid disruption. This shift not only transformed Chip, but added nuance and depth to their public story. The couple's transformation resonated with fans who had watched them grow over the years. Many expressed admiration for their humility and resilience in the face of adversity. The gap between the idealized image and the real struggles made their story all the more relatable and inspiring. It reminded supporters that strength is often quiet, and that love is frequently tested in unforeseen ways. Throughout this period, the Gaines family also reevaluated how they would engage with the public moving forward. They recognized the importance of boundaries and self-care, choosing to shield the most intimate parts of their journey from the harsh glare of media scrutiny. This balance of openness and privacy marked a mature approach to fame and family. The adversity they faced strengthened the foundation laid in their early years. The belief in perseverance, teamwork, and love. It also highlighted the ongoing work required to nurture both relationships and personal well-being. Their experience became a candid reminder that healing and growth are processes, not destinies. Fans saw in this chapter of the Gaines' lives a message beyond renovation, that life itself requires continual repair, patience, and compassion. Their evolving narrative invited others to find courage in vulnerability and hope in healing. This renewed authenticity deepened the bond between the Gaines family and those who admired them. As Joanna and Chip gradually re-entered the public eye, their story no longer centered on flawless success. Instead, it reflected a richer, more human journey, one marked by resilience, growth, and the enduring power of love. Their response to hardship would become a defining legacy, inspiring countless others to face life's challenges with grace and determination. Redefining love and legacy. As Joanna regained her strength, life for Chip and Joanna Gaines began to change. Their once fast-moving empire became less about constant expansion and more about balance, healing, and family. They realized that success was not measured only by ratings, businesses, or public approval. It was also found in resilience, honesty, and the ability to remain connected during difficult seasons. That growth was tested when a Magnolia Network series featured a same-sex couple raising children. The episode drew criticism from some longtime supporters, placing Chip and Joanna at the center of a debate involving faith, family, and inclusion. Instead of stepping away, they defended the importance of treating people with humanity and compassion. Chip kept telling everybody to listen first, before you start deciding. And he really stressed that love shouldn't be boxed in by differences. Joanna stayed right there beside him with this quiet strength that felt almost steady. And in the end, it seemed like they were proving something a little bigger than job well done. A meaningful legacy takes more than professional success, period. It also asks for the nerve to stick with your values, even when criticism gets loud and intense. Their own path, not just the headlines, also taught them that marriage doesn't run on autopilot. It needs continuous care. Like the places they renovate, relationships need patience, upkeep, and small adjustments you don't always notice until later. Chip and Joanna have talked about how hard it is to juggle business, parenting, and marriage all at once. Shared workouts, dance lessons, and those simple family seconds turned into reminders that affection grows through effort, forgiveness, and teamwork, not just good intentions. Then, as their older children started leaving home, the two of them had to walk through another emotional shift. Joanna shared the mixed feelings, motherhood, aging, and watching life change in real time. Those moments carried sadness and gratitude together, kind of like a double-edged blessing. Through all of it, Chip and Joanna kept redefining what success even means. For them, real achievement isn't fame or fortune. It's building a home where everyone feels safe and, honestly, deeply loved. And their legacy, it doesn't stop at transforming houses. They've shown that life can be rebuilt again, with patience, courage, compassion, and the choice to keep standing together even when it gets messy. Chip and Joanna Gaines' story reminds us that even the strongest foundations can develop cracks. But love, when patient and persistent, can repair and rebuild. Their journey is a powerful example of resilience and rediscovering what truly matters. If this story moved you, please like and subscribe for more revealing stories behind the headlines. Then continue watching by clicking the next story waiting for you on the screen.